What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and today we are checking out the new iPad Pro Smart Keyboard. This is Apple's official keyboard flip cover case for the iPad Pro, and at $169 it is certainly not cheap. So let's go ahead and check it out and see if it's worth the money. So first things first, taking a look at the outside of the box, we have a picture of the keyboard itself, and on the back a couple more pictures showing off how it looks with the iPad Pro in a couple different positions. So we'll go ahead and cut the plastic wrap, tear it off, flip open the box, and there we see a couple different things. The first is the usual Designed by Apple in California pouch that contains just a couple pieces of documentation. With that out of the way, we can pull the smart keyboard out of the box here and pull off the last bit of plastic wrap, and there is the new iPad Pro Smart Keyboard itself. Now, if you've ever used the foldable smart covers for iPads in the past, the material and build quality of this one is very familiar. The cover is the same trifold design, but with the added keyboard, of course. The outside is a smooth rubber soft touch material for grip, which feels nice, and the inside is a really soft felt material to ensure the iPad screen doesn't get scratched while using it. The keyboard is a textured plastic material, with the keyboard layout mimicking the one found on MacBooks, aside from the absent top row of function keys. And above the keyboard is a groove that you'll use to place the edge of the iPad into in order to sit it upright. Instead of Bluetooth or batteries, the keyboard utilizes the new smart connector found on the left edge of the iPad Pro for power and connectivity. Just line up the connector dots on the iPad Pro and Smart Keyboard, and it'll snap together via magnets just like the other smart covers. At first glance, the iPad Pro Smart Keyboards look exactly like the standard iPad smart covers that have been around for a while. It opens like a book and wakes the iPad when the cover is removed. The keyboard is folded about 2/3 of the way across the inside of the cover and is also held in via magnets. Setting everything up takes just a couple seconds. Essentially just flip everything open and set the iPad in that groove at the top of the keyboard with the iPad resting on the folded triangle of the smart cover. It balances the huge size of the iPad Pro really well, and I'm not all that worried about it coming undone or falling over. One of the biggest negatives I've found with the smart keyboard is that you can only use it at one viewing angle. You can't adjust anything if there's glare or if you want it a little higher or a little lower. You can only have it rest in that one place, and the standard angle it sits at isn't exactly the best. It's probably a little flatter than I would have liked. The keyboard keys are just a little bit smaller than what you'd find on a MacBook or MacBook Pro, but they're still a nice size to work with. The keyboard itself is also really thin to keep everything compact, so there isn't a lot of travel at all when you're pressing down on the keys. I don't really mind it that much, but if you're not a fan of the new butterfly key mechanism on the new MacBooks with having such little travel, you probably won't like this either. Typing feels pretty good overall. Like I said, with the keyboard being so thin, it doesn't take much to press a key down, so that might take some getting used to, but after a while, I find it just as comfortable as using any other keyboard that I've used in the past. I think the keyboard and keys are also a good size too. The whole thing is small and portable enough, but definitely big enough to where you aren't cramped for space. Since you do have the added keyboard on this case, with everything folded up, you're going to have this noticeable hump, which is where the keyboard rests. It's not a big deal at all, but it is something worth noting. Also, since this is just a flip cover, you'll still need to get an additional case to protect the back and edges of the iPad. One thing that really impressed me was just how solid and sturdy everything was. I was able to hold the keyboard and iPad with one hand without any problems, and everything remained really well balanced. Obviously, you aren't going to carry the thing around like this, but you might move it from one table to another without wanting to fold everything up. In general, I was pretty impressed with the smart keyboard. It adds some functionality and usability to the iPad Pro that I think a lot of people will enjoy. Typing out notes or papers becomes a lot easier, and you're able to utilize the screen a lot more without an on-screen keyboard clogging it up. However, the smart keyboard is still $169, which is a decent chunk of money. You can get different keyboard cases or standalone Bluetooth keyboards for much cheaper that do the exact same thing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know what you think of the iPad Pro Smart Keyboard in the comments below. Also, be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.